Good morning. So, um, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Kayla. I founded Passion Pilgrim. It's been an idea of mine for a lot longer than it's been an Instagram page. I kind of have this habit of doing things backwards. So lately, I've been trying to basically bring more awareness into this art that is created on this page, whether it's mala beads, oh hey Sandy, or it's the art of how you live. So basically, I talked a little bit about why I wanted to start these conversations, and really I want to bring more connection to the community. So I wrote it down here because I gotta keep myself I had to keep myself grounded in what I actually want to say. So I started this series as a way to celebrate other pilgrims on their journey. So I wanted to highlight, one of my favorite things to do is to celebrate other people. And so bringing other pilgrims that are doing amazing things, that are going through life and they're learning things, I think that we can all learn from each other. I talk to a lot of people through mentorship and through healing sessions, and what I've realized is that a lot of us are going through all the same things. So I wanted to celebrate you on your journey, and also for the viewers out there and the other pilgrims on their journey, I wanted to offer you a safe space of refuge where you can show up just as you are, really reconnect with yourself, and then connect with a community of other pilgrims on their soul-seeking journey. So yeah, my hope is that these conversations will inspire you and bring the community a little bit closer together. So today I am excited to welcome Annie. Let me see if she is, yeah, just joining in. See if we can get this technology working. Oh, there she is. Hey,
What?
girl.
Hi, good morning. Or is it
Good
afternoon?
morning. Oh my God, it's 7 a.m. How are you?
Good. Yeah, ended the work day. I've been pumped all day. I've literally drank a crap ton of coffee, so I'm like, let's do this.
You're so funny. Um, just to give you a little bit of backstory on why I chose Annie is, so I'm just going to kind of talk to our viewers a little bit about, yeah, why I chose you, and then we'll just get into it. I've never podcasted before or really interviewed people, so we're just winging it. And I think that's the whole purpose of why it was so inspiring to bring you on, is because your voice notes and your like fire is just like, yeah, this is what's going on, and your post was so exciting. And then you're like, what are some of your phrases? Like the bomb.com and like all these things, and I was
Yeah.
just like laughing and laughing over and over again. So I wanted to bring you on and kind of share some of that light with our community, and also just the fact that you are real as fuck. Like you were able to, eventually, I know that going through struggles is really, it's a time, and the way that you're able to articulate your experience in a way that other people can digest and resonate with was really inspiring. So, yeah, we were just chatting on voice notes last weekend, as you do in the back end of Instagram, and then it just was like boom, 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 so many voice notes and just telling stories. So Annie really inspired me to start this, which is something that I've been procrastinating. And so here we are, both just winging it, and we're going to see how it goes. So, yeah, so
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about you. Like, how did you get here? How did you get to where you are? Where are you? What's going
Oh,
on?
wow.
What do you want to share?
So at the age of 3, no.
Yeah.
How did I get where I am today? I feel for myself. So my name's Annie, everybody. Hey, what's up? And I feel a lot of people in this world, I went through the stages of what every other person told me to do, what society told me to do, graduate high school, go to college, get a job, go forth, do great things, and be in debt. And so I went to undergrad and I got my bachelor's. My background is in social work, and I always wanted to work with people. I knew that that was my calling. I wanted to help other people in some way or another. I always felt like this pull towards other people, and just people always came to me for like thoughts and advice. And for me, like you said, I was always bluntly honest about it, because just word vomit came out, and how I think of things makes sense to me. And so I feel like people were like, oh, she's bluntly honest. She's going to say it how it is. I don't have to worry about it. And so I got really just tired of being in my 9 to 5 job, which I am still at currently. I was being bullied a lot. I was being harassed and just really belittled because of the certain people in that environment. And I just kind of sat with myself one day, and I'm like, this is kind of BS. And I want to obviously give back to my community and others and just like help them see their worth, but I didn't know how to do it. So of course, me being me, Google is your best friend. I found this platform where it teaches you how to run your own online business and, you know, start from the ground up and make a whole income and everything. And so I started it, but of course, me being the shy, scared person I am, when I start something new, I was like, huh, this is new and out of my comfort zone. So I really did a lot of inner work, because I feel that, to me, inner work in yourself is really important. I got to learn and identify like limiting beliefs. I learned that I have a really big ego at times, and that ego, I call her
Don't we
Angela.
all?
Yeah, like Angela is my negative Nancy, and she tends to run the show like a
What's her
good
name?
portion of the time. I named her Angela.
Oh my God.
She's just like the beast of a woman, and she's like, "Oh, you're not good enough," or "You're just a piece of crap today. You're feeling bloated. Let's just make you feel like crap all day." Okay, that's fine. So I just
Yes.
like I got in this phase, and I was just not happy with myself. I wasn't happy with my environment. So I started taking control back, and I got connected with my coach, Rachel Fisher, who was freaking
Shout out to
fantastic.
Rachel.
Yeah, like she's a freaking unicorn. So she showed me, she's like, hey, guess what? You're fucking awesome, and fuck the fear, and you should just go forth and do what you feel passionate about doing. I didn't know it was coaching at the time, and I thought more and more about it, and I was like, well, I don't want to go back to school. That was my mindset. I thought like everything involved going back to school and just like putting more money into education, because that is what I thought and what was taught to me forever of, hey, you have to have this certain degree to get to the next step, or to build up to that next big thing, or make more money, or whatever you need to do. And I was tired of it. I just wanted to be at my house. I wanted to play with my dogs all day and travel and go on different traveling adventures with my boyfriend, who's military and gets deployed every now and then. And it wasn't till January 2020 where I booked a ticket to Guam, and I said, fuck it, and let's go to Guam. And I went there for a week. And I was like, this is
Amazing.
where it
That's
starts.
far.
Yeah, it was a 21-hour flight. I was like, I love this man so much, and he clearly is worth it if I want to be on a plane for 21 hours.
And so, for the people that don't know where Guam is, because more military people know about where Guam is, do you want to let people know where Guam is?
So you have Hawaii, and then there's this tiny little island that's 8 hours away, and that's Guam.
Yeah, so it's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, pretty much. There's nothing like there. So it's just straight up ocean.
Yeah, cool.
But but yeah, just I decided that I was tired of being limited. I was tired of the BS, and just tired of not being my true authentic self. And I just went and I took the leap. I was like,
Yeah.
if we're gonna do this, we're gonna just fucking send it, and we're going to go full throttle. And so the last few months, I'm just like, hey, I'm here. So,
Yeah, and so I want so what I really connected with about your post was you went on this retreat recently, and I think a lot of us can resonate with the fact that COVID made us a little bit stuck in our houses because we were told to stay there, and then we're like, is it safe to come out yet? Are we going to get in trouble to come out? Like, what's going on? Does this thing
mhm,
even exist? Like, it's a really a time of confusion, and really what I felt is like COVID has really brought forth a level of oppression, and it's also brought forth a level of personal work. It's brought forth
mhm,
a lot of contemplation, and a really big calling for a lot of people. For the people that really, um, some people are really. I mean, I've seen people start businesses during COVID, which like other people would be like,
mhm.
"This is the worst time." So, yeah, I want to know from you. So you kind of touched on a couple things. One is it sounds like you have a deep commitment to truth.
Mhm.
So kind of girl with no filter, and you had this deep call to step outside the box. And so tell me more a little bit about why does it matter for you to live in this truth? Why does it matter for you to take this leap and just fucking send it? Why, like,
Um,
where does that come from?
oh, such a deep question. And I could just talk about
Welcome.
it for
I only have deep questions.
how deep can we go?
Yeah.
Um, why is this so important for me? For me, because I've gone through a lot of huge changes in my life and just obstacles that I've faced personally. And I suffer from anxiety and depression. I also have endometriosis. If anyone, knows what that is, it sucks. um, and I think for me, for the longest time, I just loved making people happy. I'm a caregiver. I love giving love. I think everyone, if they, in a perfect world, if we could just have positivity all the time and just start from the ground up of just a simple, like, good morning, I love your face, and bring so much happiness and joy to the world, I think it would be a better place. And I feel that even in the worst times that I've had in my life, I have always managed to just kind of kick the door open and push forward from all the negativity. And I want to do that for other people. I want other people to see that they can do it for themselves, like that they are enough and they are worthy. And it doesn't matter like if negative Nancy over here is calling you like a twat waffle or whatever. Like it doesn't matter like what other people's views of you are, because how you view yourself as a person and like your worth is key to just that first step to like happiness. I've learned so much this past year about myself where I'm like, I'm really good at a lot of things, and I didn't think I was great at a lot of things. And I'm probably like drifting from the question a little
No,
bit.
no, you're right on schedule. Keep going.
Okay. But yeah, like for me, especially when I was at the retreat taught me a lot. We did a lot at the retreat. And one of the things that really resonated with me is that in the mornings we meditated and we just sat in silence and just meditated and just were with our thoughts. And one of the meditation practices that we did was kind of identifying resentment. And I'm like, ooh, this is going to be a deep one.
Yeah.
Like, whatever comes through to you, just let it happen. Like, let your body tense up and release. I'm like, I don't know about this. I am sitting within myself and I feel a lot of anger coming up. So I don't know if this is a useful tool or not. But
Yeah.
I like, it used to be, I never was probably the type of person where I would let feelings build and build and build until I was just like, boom. I never really dealt with
Oh,
my
that sounds so
feelings.
unfamiliar. I don't think anybody does that.
I know. So there are healthier ways to do that, apparently.
Yeah.
And so when I was meditating, I like saw all this like past versions of myself like throughout the years. And it wasn't until, the end of the session, it's like, okay, so like you see all the negatives, now like release it. And I'm just like standing over here like, hey, bye. Like you got to go. Like there's the door. See your way out. And
Yeah.
I was bawling during the retreat. I'm like, okay, I'm not having a panic attack. Like this is good. Like releasing estrogen. And it was beautiful because I never fully let myself like be in the moment or be in the present and just cry. And it was a good cry. I don't think it was Kim Kardashian worthy by any means, but it was like a good woo-saw cry. And
Yeah.
I have definitely just learned within myself to be like, hey, like it's okay not to be perfect because no one's perfect. Like we are all created in our own special little way to be the people that we were, put on this earth to be. And for me, in my personal experience, it's just being a freaking miracle and being the truly positive self I am and just sharing that with other people. There are people at my work right now that are so miserable and they're so sad and they're anxious and they're depressed. And even if I can just say, good morning, how are you? How can I take this off your plate? And just give them like the positive vibes back is a win for me. And I want to
Yeah.
continue to do that for so many people, like men, women, whoever, a squirrel. I just want all the positivity in the world.
So there's something interesting that I want to talk on. And it's something that I deeply resonate with because you touched on your mental health journey and your struggles a little bit, not to like
Mhm.
mention necessarily what they are, but as a human being, I'm going to assume you've got some trauma. And, because you mentioned that you struggle with anxiety, I also see in your face as you get onto this call that you have like these emotions running through you, like you're excited and and it's really cool to see you show up as like your raw authentic self. You're like, I'm excited, I'm a little bit nervous right now, and I'm here, and that's what matters, and I'm going to tell my story, and I don't know if it's perfect, and I'm just going to keep talking. And so that's the part of your commitment to truth that I think we see on the outside, and that's the part that I want to honor, because I know from my own personal journey, I mean, I have played in darkness for so long, struggling with depression, struggling with addiction, struggling with my own traumas and things like that. And yet there's something inside of me that also calls me towards this light. And I'm curious for you, how has your darkness brought you closer to your commitment to spreading the light? Like, why is light
Um,
important for people? Why is this positivity important for people? Because it's not like that all the time.
yeah,
But why is it
I'm,
so important for you to help others feel that way?
I'm definitely not positive all the time.
No, and that's fine.
um, I feel that I think if we get out of our comfort zones and we break this cycle of staying in this little safety box and just cramming everything in this box and not looking outside of our comfort zone, I think for me at least, I definitely felt limited and I felt unfulfilled that I was constantly staying in this box or this bubble. I thought that, listening to like my parents or like whoever around me, I probably let a lot of people influence how I should live my life. And it got really old because the more I grew within myself and like my truth and what I want in my life overall, the more I'm like, this doesn't really feel in alignment with me anymore. This doesn't feel correct. And I was very, very hesitant of just stepping out of that comfort zone, because even when I want to like put in my 2 weeks at work and just say fuck it, I'm like what about the finances? What about like paying the bills? How's the car insurance going to get paid off? Like just random stuff our minds just think of, because it's our ego being like, hey, do not cross go, do not collect $200.
Love
Like
Monopoly. Just bought it again.
it's just like, hey, this is really scary and you probably shouldn't do it. But I definitely have learned that if I don't go towards the light, then I'm gonna miss out on a lot of things, because I didn't honestly travel whatsoever until 2020. And then of course COVID hit and it's like, just kidding. Your one experience is done.
Yeah.
But that's definitely what I feel is important. I feel if you just get out of your comfort zone, if you just tell the ego to shut up for 5 seconds and just process your surroundings and be in the present of where you're at, and look and see your environment as a whole and the people you're around and you as a person, and just ask yourself, hey, are you actually happy in this situation? And if the answer is no, then you need to freaking do something about it. No one's going to help you with it. Like, no one's going to be like, here's all the answers. I'm just going to toss it and you just get to pick one. No, like, I feel like for me, I had the tools, I had like all the self-awareness. I just didn't know how to tackle it. And so
Okay.
after my one-on-one sessions with Rachel and doing this retreat with my community, I'm just like, all right, this is it. This is where you're supposed to be. These are the steps like you're going to have to take. And if it's scary, then okay, like you can feel what you feel, but you got to do it.
Cool. And so I want to touch on that a little bit. So, like, I think we're all pretty familiar with like the conceptual advice of like just get outside your comfort zone and you
Mhm.
just got to take the leap and all these things. And I love that you mentioned that 2020 was the first year you traveled, and we're at a time right now where there's a lot of travel restrictions. But what you have proved recently is that it's not travel impossibles. Hey, Booyong, what's up, buddy? Apakabar. Um, and so I want you to go into that a little bit more. So, how does one step outside their comfort zone? And let's talk about specifically, let's talk about, the rut that you felt in with this travel, and then what it took for you to actually book this retreat, to go travel somewhere, to connect with nature in your local area. Like, what was that like for you?
So the retreat I went on, one of the girls that I work with hosted the retreat. She wanted all of us to gather because a lot of us are newbies, and she just loves teaching so many people. She's such a kind-hearted soul, and she's so silly. I love her to death. And so she was like, I want to do a retreat, and it was supposed to be in Hawaii, but then it changed because of COVID, because they're like, hey, you can't fly here. And she's like, no, we're gonna make this happen. So
I love
this
that.
girl literally went from like Hawaii, and then probably I want to say in maybe a week's time, booked a house, got us all rooms, like the whole 9 yards. And her team were freaking fantastic. I'm like, you are so magical. And so I was getting kind of anxious before the trip because I had put in my leave like 3 weeks prior to all this, or probably even longer than that, honestly. And there was this talk around my office saying, hey, like, we're not approving like people's leave or something like that. And I got like really like anxious and scared. I'm like, what about
Yeah.
the plane tickets and how is
There's
this
so
gonna
much
happen?
fear, hey?
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
oh my goodness. So I'm like messaging my community. I was like, hey, like if they deny me my leave, I'm just going to quit my job essentially. And we're just going to like make sure that like I have a lot of like financial abundance and I'm going to make like all the magic happen. I said, so whatever happens, happens. I'm still coming on this trip. And so I get there and everything ended up working out. I landed in Arizona, and Arizona Sedona is so beautiful. Like I've been to Arizona once and it was in Phoenix, but I was only there for 3 days. So I really didn't get to adventure out of my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
But come day one, we just hit the ground running. We went on a hike and we're, you know, doing all this like photos and content and just being creative. And my silly self decided to take a picture of which I slipped and I fell in a thorny bush and I
Oh
got scraped
no.
on my ribs. I'm like, oh, okay, you know, like it's me. I'm clumsy. It's bound to happen. Why not day one?
Yeah.
So, but Arizona, I call Arizona Mars because there's so many rocks and, you know, crevices and everything like that. And there's a lot of climbing, and I do not like heights. I'm afraid of falling. So if I look
Mm-hmm.
down, I'm like, oh, I'm dying. And
Yeah,
that's
I get that.
one of the things where I really got out of my comfort zone on because I promised myself that I was like, okay, even if I go on this retreat, one, I'm not going to think about work. I'm not going to think about all the negatives that came before I got on this plane. I'm not going to think about who's, you know, wondering where I am or whatever. I'm just going to focus on me. I'm going to focus on being in the present. And so I definitely achieved that goal because I barely was on my phone and I got to see all these national parks and just like the Horseshoe Bend was breathtaking. So was Grand
Mm.
Canyon. Like I cried. And I'm like, this is the first time in months where I haven't had a panic attack. I haven't been anxious, minus the flight. And I just felt very at peace and I felt very calm when I was on that retreat. I feel that during this time of COVID, yeah, I have been cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, being in my house, not being able to like travel or, you
Yeah.
know, do weekend trips or even see my family. I haven't like seen my parents since maybe June. I think on my mom's birthday, and that was the last time I saw him. So it's very like out of the ordinary for me because we're so used to seeing our parents like every other weekend or
Yeah.
essentially every weekend because they just show up when they want to. And so I'm like, hey, like what's going on, world? So I don't think it's like really impossible for anyone to travel. And it definitely wasn't for us. We took the precautions. We had our masks in our purses and, you know, bags and everything like that. But it definitely made me feel happier that I got to get out of the environment that I was in and into just a new view, a new environment, and just overall new positivity on that retreat. So it was gorgeous. I loved it. Much
Yeah.
needed.
Cool. And I love just the way that you wrap up kind of the whole story of um, work getting in the way of the
Mhm.
possibility of you going, and your, you know, your thoughts around that and your emotions around that, and just highlighting the fact that it's not fucking easy. You know, you had a lot of decisions to make, but you knew you just had to step outside and go see something. And then the positivity of all of that is you got to reconnect with yourself. I mean, I think it's absolutely beautiful that you were able to experience life to the point of tears because you were able to connect with Mother Nature. I mean, isn't that, like, for me, that's something that I really want. I watch a lot of Jason Silva ramps, and he's like, life should be lived to the point of tears. He's so like poetic and passionate, and I'm just like, yeah, buddy, you've totally fucking got it. And yet the thing that happens when we become in our heads, when we get, you know, too settled into this comfort zone, and we stop connecting with awe. And so awe, in order to feel this awe, to feel this rapture of the world around us, and that not even happiness, but just the change in your environment that rewires your brain to experience something new, is you got to break the mold and you got to get outside the mundane. We're overstimulated with the same shit over and over and over again. And, you know, the news is feeding us a lot of things, real or fake. Right now, social media is feeding us a lot of things, real or fake. The algorithms, I don't even know what they're doing. My stuff gets seen all the time and then it doesn't, and like, you know, whatever. And I think it's really nice that you were able to like step off of your device and step into the fucking world that we live in, that there's like trees and air and beautiful things, and realize like COVID doesn't exist here. Like, I am a human being. I'm here to walk this earth, and to really connect with that in the way that it just inspired you. Like, from our conversations, you seem more on fire coming back. You seem to. All right. So, in the spirit of perfectionism, the Wi Fi cut out here in Bali. And just at the best part, talking to Annie. I think I just want to pick up where we left off, which was just really expressing what you had to move through in order to show up for yourself and get yourself to that point of awe and rapture with life. And really how connecting with nature and stepping outside of the norm helped you with that. And be, you know, against all odds, all rules, all restrictions, you were able to find that travel, your intention for 2020, and you were able to recreate that. And so I just wanted to, you know, we're going to wrap this up kind of anyway after that, but I wanted to ask you, you know, throughout this conversation, you expressed a lot about, you know, what your struggles have taught you, how staying stuck doesn't really work for you. You know, there's always that what would life be like if, and really your ability to answer that call. And I know that a lot of people feel stuck right now. I know that it's kind of one of those times where, you know, making plans isn't exactly what society's in for, you know, to make a travel, like a vacation overseas is not exactly what a lot of people are doing, although it's still possible. But for people that are feeling like they're really in a rut, because that's kind of your area of expertise,
Mhm.
what are some simple things that people can do in order to just take that first step to start to step outside of that rut?
Oh gosh. I mean, there's so many things that people can do. I know for myself, just implementing like a new routine and just trying new things was out of my comfort zone. Example would be I never tried meditation that often or breath work.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept on hearing about it. And then I experienced it for the first time. And I was like, no, I didn't think this was for me. But the more I did it, the more I grew to love it. And I actually felt a huge connection to it because it it helped me stay calm. It also helped my anxiety, but it helped me have clarity of how I started my day. I feel like if I'm not saying, you know, go bungee jumping to get out of your comfort zone. You're more than happy to. Like if
Yeah.
that's if you want to go from 0 to 100, go forth and, you know, do great things. But I think for me, like I was definitely baby steps when it came to getting out of my rut. But I had to remind myself and teach myself that I am in control of how I start my day and that it's not, you know, anyone's say of how I run the show when it comes to my life. You know, yeah, we all have bosses and everything, but by the time I clock out and head home, like I'm the boss 24/7.
Yeah.
Like if I want to have, you know, a relaxing time and just do a bubble bath, or if I want to, you know, start learning how to ride a motorcycle, then I have the confidence and I have this building and like fiery, as you put earlier before we got disconnected, fiery like desire to just try it and just do it. I feel that if people, like I said previously, if people would just stand in the present moment and just pretty much view their whole entire environment and see what they're missing out on, they're going to be like, hey, I always said I was going to do that. Well, I'm 35 years old and I have yet to achieve that. And for me, like, I never kayaked before until the retreat, and I kayaked by myself, and I was just paddling my little heart out, and I had no
Yes.
freaking idea what I was doing. And I'm just like, but it was on my bucket list. It was the thing I always saw envision myself doing. I just wanted to do it, and I tried it. And for the first 15 minutes, I'm not gonna lie, I hated it because I'm like, I am getting nowhere. I feel like I was going in circles, and I was getting so frustrated. But
Yeah.
I reminded myself, like, even like being by myself in that moment, I'm like, hey, self, like, you've been wanting to do all the cool shenanigans for a hot minute, and you're actually in the fucking kayak doing the damn thing. It's something
Yeah.
small like so. I encourage people to, if you're wanting to get out of a rut, it's just take that tiny first step. I know it's scary. I know like it looks like a big boogie bear is like raw, but I feel like if you just take the first step and you analyze your whole entire environment and just really think within yourself of, is this really making me happy? And what is it that I truly want to pursue or do or envision myself doing? If you start slowly taking those steps, then you're going in the right direction. You just got to be like releasing the safety net and freaking doing it. Because I learned, like, I have had so many mentors in my life. And I think the one thing I've learned the most is if you want to lead, be the voice people like you need to hear. So my old Annie
It's really
is like,
good.
really, I just need that extra love and be like, hey, like, it's okay, like, if you feel like shit today, but guess what? We're gonna get out of bed and we're gonna try something new, and it's gonna be a fantastic day, even if we mess up. And I think people need to hear that more often because it, if you surround yourself with negativity all the time, you're always going to feel the negativity or you're always going to think negative. It's really, really hard, at least in my experience, that I got stuck in this negative mindset of people telling me, well, you're not good enough and you don't do this right, or you need to stop having anxiety, or you need to stop this. You need to just be more appreciative of what you have in your surroundings. Not saying I wasn't appreciative of my surroundings or what I had, but I knew in the back of my head, I'm like, yeah, I'm grateful, but I could do so much more and contribute so much more. And I felt very confined. I felt very limited. And so I just said, no more. Fuck it. We're going to fucking send it. And I'm going to like take control of my life again. And I'm going to make the decisions that Annie needs to make. And I'm just going to spread all the love. And I think that's the biggest part of getting out of your rut, sorry, is just saying and telling yourself, hey, I don't want to do this anymore, and then actually taking steps and taking action to do it. Because that's the hardest part is like you can say anything all day long, but you actually taking the steps to do it is the hardest part.
Yeah, I love that so much. And it's so simple. It's just like, it reminds me of this poem that I'll share with you later, but it just talks about the simplicity of taking, like, it talks about letting go. It was like, she just let go. Like, there was no,
Mhm.
she didn't figure out how to do it. She didn't tell anybody about it. She just did it. And that's exactly what you're talking about. And I think the thing that I really want to highlight here and a really key point is take control of your life. You know, just if it's not working out for you, take the control back. If your mind's telling you shit, or if you're getting messages from other people that don't align with what your heart's saying, just step outside of that, reflect, like, and you know, it sounds like your catalyst was meditation and breath work. So showing up to a class, take fucking control of your life, you know? So I really, really love that share. And you know, I love that you brought it back to meditation and breathwork because, as we know, that's what I teach. And I'm so fucking passionate about breathwork. And I just tell people all the time, I'm like, if you haven't tried it, just try it. I don't know what's going
Yeah.
to happen to you. I don't know how you're going to feel, but I definitely know that with a consistent practice, you're going to feel more clear. You're going to feel more connected with yourself, and things are just going to shift. I just know that. So I love that that was one of your catalysts for that. And I really hope that you can join one of the breathwork groups soon. It'd be awesome to have you on there. And I just wanted to thank you for your patience with the internet today, for sharing your wisdom, for showing up, even though it's a little bit, you know, anxiety invoking to speak so publicly about your deep, dark secrets. But I really just value your commitment to truth and your innate desire to share your light. So thank you.
Aw, thank you. Well, thank you for having me. Like, seriously, I loved just the having a conversation with you, and it made my heart so full when you messaged me. You're like, "Hey, you want to do a podcast?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, I want to do a podcast. Like, let's do it."
Yeah.
Like, this is so exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I that's my overall like goal in life is just to bring so much joy and so much love and just have, you know, amazing, beautiful people like yourself be like, hey, this really resonated with me. Like this fucking clicked in my head and I get it. Thank you so much for being honest and your true self. I'm like, oh, thank you so much. Because that day when I posted, I was definitely in a moment and I was feeling all my feelings. And sometimes with anything, even if I post it, I'm like, oh, well, maybe I hope it really resonates with someone, and maybe I should have said this better or this better. I always like have that little voice is like, oh, but I truly have been like so blessed and honored to like connect with you and just it's been beautiful. And I'm so happy we did your first podcast together. It just love, even if technical difficulties were being
Yeah.
twat, but it was beautiful.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. And thanks for sharing the also the backstory of posting, because I think all of us go through that when we post. You know, we want to share something from our heart and we don't know if it's going to be well received, and we just have to, and that's the whole thing about being your authentic self, is you just got to send it out there and
Mm-hmm.
feel good about it and feel complete with it, and regardless of what happens, know that it's enough, you know, and that it's going to resonate with somebody, you know, and even if you get no feedback from the universe, still feeling good about everything that you send out. So I love that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you
Cool.
so much.
Thank you, and have a good night, and we'll stay connected, and I'll see you in the group soon. And for anybody that wants to connect more with you, so I'm going to tag Annie in the comments. Her Instagram handle is at Breathe In the New You, so give her a follow. And she is building, she didn't mention it much, but she's building this really cool beta program. It's a 6-week program to help people uplift themselves and reconnect
Mm-hmm.
with the magic, the miracles of who they are. So if you're interested in being part of her beta test run, then send her a message. I know she's ready to roll that out probably, I think, at the end of next month. So yeah, if you're
Heck
feeling
yeah.
in a rut, then contact her, and tune into our next episode. I think it's going to be 2 weeks from now. I don't know. It's going to be sometime soon. Watch the stories, and we'll see you guys all soon. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.